Alexy Rusakov, official product manager for Sitecore Ukraine. Basically, I'm the page editor guy, and less of just a UI guy. So that's what I do in Sitecore. Today's talk would be about page editor, obviously, and what we're going to talk about today actually is a bit of everything. I'm going to talk about this explorer list we had and the history behind it. That will be a short part of the talk. I will cover live and what we did in 6.4, and then we will move to 6.5. I will also explain about all the things you already heard about 6.5 during the keynote, and then we will have live demo of those features. And the live demo is made with the technical preview build that was made available today. So that should work perfectly fine. All right. So just a bit of history. What we had in 6.0, in Sitecore 6.0 is this great idea that let's use inline editing. You can click anywhere on the page, and you can start editing content and save it. That was a great, simple idea. People love it. It's very simple. Click and edit. Right? And so we started building this product called Page Editor. We had fields, support. This is what we released with. Then we've come up with edit frames. We also had Page Designer, which was a different UI. Again, if you're using 6.2, you know what I'm talking about. So there's two different tools. You edit content with one tool, and you edit presentation with another tool. And people have been successful with that. So this is what we have. This is what we had in 6.0, 6.3. And of course, there was quite a bit of time. So we started getting feedback, and feedback is what we love. So what kinds of feedback? Right? There was Page Editor and Page Designer. It wasn't clear all the time when to use which. And we just knew we had to optimize a few things around. So you probably know how this looks. You have your either edit or your design. Like the same on our website. We had a lot of feedback about presentation settings, how you edit presentation on items. You only want editors typically to edit presentation on items. And developers set up presentation on the templates to affect the entire site. Right? So when you do that, you still want the connection between the item and the template. So if they change the item, but the developer updates the design for the entire site, you want them to be maintained and to be a wholesome story. And of course, there's always this ease of use component, because Page Editor is a tool that doesn't require as much training from editors, so that's the idea behind it. So we're always being pushed to go more into ease of use. And whenever we expose UIs in the Page Editor, people want those UIs to be really easy to use, which is understandable, and we love working on that. Right? So we want to work. That's not how our office looks like, but we certainly work hard. And Sitecore 6.4, we released that in November 2010. If you've been to the previous June core, I had a chance to Karen had a chance to show some of that in the US. Right? And before November, we had a very successful technical preview program for 6.4. And we got lots of feedback from that. We're hoping we'll have the same with 6.5. So kind of building up to that. So Sitecore 6.4, what we introduced, I know some of the people, first of all, how many people had a chance to install 6.4 and see what it looks like and play with it? Please raise your hand. Right, that's a lot of people, thanks. And how many people actually have their solutions running in production at 6.4? That's less people, but still a lot of people, which we're really happy about that. So the huge improvement we had in 6.4 is this, what we call unified Page Editor. And again, if you're not familiar with 6.4, I have a live demo later, and you'll see what it feels like. But what we did is we unified editing and design modes. This is how it looks like now. You can see that you only have edit button, basically. You don't have to decide either you're editing or designing. And during the live demo that I'll show you, you'll see why this was the only choice for us to go forward, because otherwise we just couldn't connect all the features we're releasing now. We had this great theme Lars talked about, which is called Layout Delta, or this is how we connect presentation from templates to items. It actually allows us to maintain the connection from the template presentation to the item presentation. So when I, as an editor, edit an item, and maybe change the presentation just a bit, instead of overwriting and copying the entire presentation, what we do now is we store something like this. Hopefully you appreciate it. It's a bit of developer insight. You don't have to know anything about it because it works completely transparent. But this is how layout deltas look and work like under the hood. So they just store what the changes are. So I have my news items, I probably have like 10 widgets, but this particular item should not have this particular widget. And that's it. Everything else should come from template. That's layout deltas, and that's how they look like. Again, editors, we're not really talking about it, documentation, because there's no need to. All you need to know is that it works, the connection is there, and editors no longer have to decide do they want to change the template or the item. It just works like this. We had item thumbnails. That's a UI kind of feature. Again, it's more of a configuration thing, which was very importantly accepted. So this allows us to build dialogues like this. You know that in Sitecore every item has an icon, and basically it always has an icon. So whenever we display something, we ask you to change to big things, like select a render, select a component. By default, we will show you an icon, and that's okay, but icon is something abstract. What we have at 6.4 is a way for you to take a screenshot, take any image, and assign it to the icon. So this dialog shows how editors select presentation components to go onto the page in 6.4. So with icon thumbnails, they can actually see how it will look like on the page, not just have an abstract icon. You have to set it up. It takes very little time because we have this great tool that you can take screenshots without doing Sitecore. But if you want to spend more time, you can go to Photoshop and maybe touch up your screenshots. I don't know. Again, that's the same dialog from our Nightmare side. Again, they're using that. Having lots of screenshots. So again, lots of different renderings, and you can immediately see what you're inserting. As you can see, they don't have the best names, but they have the screenshots. So actually, editors don't really care about component names anymore. So that's icon thumbnails. We also have another thing we did in UI with dinosaurs that. And again, that's same, more or less UI improvement. Continuing to work in our story that all UIs and page editor that editors have access to should be easy to use. So that's how it looks in 6.4. That's when we insert the rendering on the page, that's how editors select what content should go together with the rendering, right? And that's important because they, as you can see, they no longer have to navigate the entire site tree, and they no longer have to decide, is this the right piece of content? As a developer, I set up 2 properties, usually, and again, we're making it easier and easier to do. And then my editors get this nice dialog, this narrow down experience, instead of just having to go for the entire tree. And of course, in 6.4, something you enjoy a lot, something I certainly enjoy a lot, is browser support. Because we now have support for IE, we have support for Firefox, we have support for Google Chrome. That's the one I use, and people from the office use different browsers now. And we have support for Safari. So Sitecore 6.4 was a great release, and it was released in November, so hopefully you enjoy it. We know you love it, and you love it too. Right? But something I wanted to talk about, something that didn't get to users, but something we built for, we know we have to build, is this new extendable platform. We just knew that with all the goals we set for ourselves, we have to come up with this new unified page editor to continue supporting our goals and our challenges in future. And today what I'm going to show you, I'll show you how we're using this extendable platform to really build on top of it. Alright. So what were the results of the 6.4? What we'd like to see? And what we like to see is we like to see implementations going up, interest is going up. That's our mission. We want more people to use Page Editor. And the more people are using it, the more feedback we have. And it really helps drive the product. You really should see that. And with 6.4, because we had new UI, we really started getting in-depth feedback. Because the whole idea was great, and people loved it. Edit and design together, that works great. And now we start getting a lot of feedback on specific dialogues, specific features, very important, little details, but they're very important to us. So we'd definitely like to see that. And so we celebrate, right? And then we go into feedback loop again. And we started accumulating feedback about 6.4. So what have we heard? The popular one, lots of cheers in the audience today, was compatibility with prototype.js JavaScript library that we use. That was the most popular piece of feedback we had for 6.4, so we knew we had to start with that. Design compatibility was another one. People were saying that sometimes for some designs, when I open my site in the page editor, it doesn't quite look like what I expected to look. And sometimes it really didn't look like what you expect. But a lot of sites work fine. Right? And people always want more control over editing experience to provide a better experience for the editors. And they want simplicity and they want features. That's everyone, software developers, familiar with that. Right? Got to work again another note. And as you all know, Sitecore 6.5 technical preview is available today. So again, the big part of my message is that you should really go download it, use it again, and let us know what you think, because we still have time at 6.5 time frame, and we're not stuck after 6.5, definitely. We're continuing to the same fashion. You know, again, prototype.js is completely replaced by jQuery in Page Editor. That's the first thing we have in 6.5. We did a complete rewrite for our architecture to make sure we no longer include prototype.js on the page. And it was very powerful. In fact, what we do is previously we told you if you contacted support, what we told you is to use jQuery now, right? What we're doing now is actually we're using jQuery now. So it means that our jQuery is completely separate from whatever happens on the page. And as long as you don't touch our $st variable, hopefully you don't have to think about what kind of version of jQuery Sitecore has. Can I upgrade my jQuery? Can I use any other library? jQuery is great. That's one of the best parts of their design philosophy. They're completely non-conflicting. So, yeah, actually, a lot of them should go to jQuery. It's just it really works. The JavaScript library works. So it's great. We still love prototype. It's just not right for this scenario. So we know we have to do that. So what's next? Right? The next part is the better design compatibility. And I would say it's much better design compatibility because we already tested it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay? So let's say that's your rendering. That's a typical rendering or component, as we call them in Page Editor to carry. So in case you haven't saw 6.4, this is what 6.4 Page Editor looks like. You can select fields and edit them. You can select a different field. You can select the entire rendering, or you can click this on, go up, select a placeholder. This is how you insert things, right? I can show you very in depth. So that's icon thumbnails in action. This is how I decide what to insert. I will not try to do that now. But going to my demo, I told that we wanted to solve personalization. So what I want to do here is I want to personalize one of the renderings you see. And I can personalize it in a lot of different ways. I have a scenario that is fairly easy to demonstrate. So let's get to it. What I want as a user to do is, I know that a lot of people are Googling for Dream Core now.